Hello, friends. It's April, and do you know what that means? It means there's a new Kendra's Card Challenge. Brand new, out on April 1st is Kendra's Card Challenge number 22. I'm really excited for this one. I've looked at the cutting guide. I haven't yet put together a set, so this will be my first set for this quarter. And it looks like the cuts are going to be pretty easy. Last quarter I had to bring out some dies to die cut some circles, and it looks like this quarter everything is straight cuts, so it should be pretty easy peasy. Now, as a KCC instructor, myself, Beth, and Kendra will have videos where we go in depth to show you how to play along with Kendra's card challenge. If you are new to this challenge, then I hope this video helps you. I did several instructional videos last quarter, and I'll be doing more this quarter. And so what I'm going to do is this will likely be a multi-part series where I'm going to record everything in real time so that it's easy to follow along. And what that'll mean, though, is because it can take me a while, I'm a little bit of a slow crafter, to put together a full set of 15 cards. We're going to break it up into 2-3 videos. We'll see how many I'll need to cover the entire challenge. But by the end of it, I will have shown you how to choose your 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern papers, how to cut them according to the cutting guide, and how to assemble the 15 unique card sketches. And by the end of it, if you're crafting along with me, you will have completed a full set that you can enter for a chance to win some amazing prizes from our prize sponsors and from Kendra herself. For this first set of cards, I'm going to be crafting with Adventures in Wonderland by My Pretty Things. This is just half the paper pack. You know what's cool about this? It's a 24 sheet paper pack, but it came shrink wrapped, which I thought was kind of neat, because that's the first thing I do when I get a new paper pack is a lot of times it's actually organized where, the same designs are duplicated back to back, but the first thing I always do is separate them so I have one of each unique sheet, because I like to craft with just one first and have like one as a spare. So that's what that's nice and shrink wrapped and ready for my next set. But these are all the unique patterns. I am gonna actually pull out some of the patterns that look to have cut aparts, because I feel like I want to save those just in case I want to use these as focal images, or in this case some sentiments, because this one has some sentiments on there. And so we'll save those. Oh, that's a shame. So the backs of these patterns like these, I almost feel like make for good replacements for solid color cardstock. So these are such easy patterns to use because they are so basic, and they're not really themed for this gorgeous floral Adventures in Wonderland set. And so I'm going to show you how I pick my 6 sheets of pattern papers in a moment. That for sure is what I'll cover in this video. And I'll endeavor to pick my 6 sheets of pattern paper and show you how to cut them in this first video. And then we'll start to assemble the cards in the next videos. With this collection, there's this really gorgeous foiled washi. Look how generous a roll that is. And this comes, you could get this coordinating die. This is Watercolor Wonderland washi, and the coordinating die is also available if you want it. And it's a pretty long stretch of design before the design starts to repeat. I've already I did a member only live stream where I put the washi onto I actually put it onto printer paper, and I die cut it out, and it die cuts beautifully. I've got, I think, two or maybe it was 1.5 of the patterns here. So I thought this would be great for focal images if I need. And then I've also got a couple of basic shape dies. Circles are always really lovely. I picked circles because a lot of the sketches, as I mentioned, it's straight cuts. So circles might be a nice contrast to the pattern paper or the design of the layout. And also available at My Pretty Things is this. So you have some foiled silver and gold. And I thought this would be really great for sentiments. And this is partly coordinated with this paper pad. It's just a really lovely Alice in Wonderland theme. We've got party time for tea and cake. But there's also stuff that's just very general, like happy birthday, birthday boy, on your special day, etc. So love that. And I love that it's silver and gold. So you can pick whichever one matches your papers better. So that's what I'm going to be crafting with for this first set of KCC cards. Now, if you are new to Kendra's card challenge, let me show you the printable. This is totally free. I'll leave a link to how to get this in the description box below. You do have to sign up as a free patron member in order to have access to the patron space for KCC. And up at the top, you'll see pinned to the top is where to get the latest challenge. This is a quarterly card making challenge, and it runs from April 1st through to June 30th. So you have 3 months to make a full set of 15 cards. Take a single photo that showcases all 15 cards and enter it into the link party for a chance to win some amazing prizes. Now, you can actually enter this challenge up to 3 times. You can enter once per month a different unique set of 15 cards. So in total, if you wanted to max out your chances for winning prizes, you will have made 45 cards in total and submitted 15 of them each of the 3 months, April, May, and June. Now, when you get your printable, there's the first sheet which has some instructions. I definitely suggest that you read those, and that's going to help you sort of understand how to use the printable, how to play along. Of course, if everybody learns differently, so if it helps you to have instructional videos, look for videos from me, Beth of Bourbon Creek Crafts, and of course from Kendra herself. We are the KCC instructors or educators on the team, and so we'll be doing in-depth tutorials like this one that you're watching now. And hopefully everybody learns differently, everybody teaches a little bit differently, so I definitely encourage you to check out Beth's channel, check out Kendra's channel, and see who explains this in a way that you understand best. And if you want, you can check out my videos from last quarter as well. My goal with each instructional video that I put out is to show you maybe a different way to look at the challenge, a different way to participate, a different way to play along. And so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to choose my 6 sheets of pattern paper in a more easy breezy way than I did last quarter. There's so many different ways to play along with the challenge. You don't necessarily even have to start with 6x6 pattern papers. And last quarter, I even made a set without any pattern paper, just using solid color cardstock. Lots of different ways to play. Now, what I'm showing now is the cutting guide. There are 3 pages of cutting guides. Each of them has 2 representation of 2 6x6 pattern papers, and it looks maybe a little bit confusing to start, especially some of the ones that have a lot of markings and annotations on them. But let me show you a little bit about how to read these cutting guides, and hopefully once you've played along with the challenge 1 or 2 times, you'll quickly get the hang of how to interpret all of these markings. Let's focus on this first paper A. All 6 papers are color coded, and that makes it easy later to identify where those pieces go on your sketch. But each of the cutting guides, you're gonna find dimensions. Now, when you look at the dimensions, it's the dimension of that particular segment. So this is 1 inch wide and 4.5 tall. So when you cut this piece out, that's the size that you'll ultimately have. And you're gonna have 3 of those. Those first 3 are identical there. And then you'll continue to look at each of these pieces, and it's going to tell you how wide of a section it is, how tall of a section it is. So if you wanted to just cut from your scraps, you could definitely do that, and you have all of the dimensions to get your pieces cut. If, say, instead of using a full sheet of 6x6, you could definitely use scraps instead. The next thing that I want to call your attention to are the arrows. The arrows tell you when that piece gets used on the sketch that it's used on, which way is up. Sometimes these pieces are used on a card. It could get turned, and so you want, if you are particular about the pattern papers that you're using, you want to take note of which papers can be directional and which ones probably will be safer if you chose a non-directional paper. So what do I mean by that? When you look at paper A here, all of the arrows on every single piece point upwards, with the exception of this one, which points diagonal. But I think diagonal pieces are just fine. That's more or less upwards. So because all of these pieces, when they get glued down onto their card sketches, they point upwards, you can actually use for paper A directional pattern paper. Now let's just quickly look at paper B and see if it's the same story here. Now paper B, most of these segments are either pointing upwards or on a diagonal, except for, notably, these 2 right here. This piece here points to the right. This piece here also points to the right. So these 2 pieces, when they go onto the sketch, they're going to be oriented differently than all of the other pieces. So if you use something that was directional, say something that has words on it, this isn't going to be, if you use it according to how the card sketch shows it, your words are not going to, they're going to be read left to right here, but that's not the right orientation on the sketch, the way this piece will get used. So this piece might be, paper B might be something where you would prefer to opt for a non-directional paper. But truth be told, if it's just these 2 small pieces, honestly, I might be tempted to use a directional paper for this also, because it's only 2 little pieces, and there are, of course, ways to get around directionality, because you can always turn your card instead. So if we look at some of the other papers, paper F might be a good example, where in this one, again, you can see most of the arrows are pointed upwards, but this piece here is pointed left and this piece here is pointed left. And so if there was writing or something with directionalities for these 2 pieces, it's going to be oriented incorrectly if the directionality really matters for that print. So that's another thing to take note of when you are looking at your cutting guide. The next thing that you'll find on every single piece of segment here that gets cut out, there's a number. And the number tells you the sketch number that that piece is going to be used on. So for example, these three pieces that are all or each 4.5 by 1, they are all getting used on sketch number 1. So let me show you sketch number 1. That's this sketch right here. So you can see that it's color coded. There are those three pieces, and again, the dimensions are actually duplicated, so that if you just wanted to make sketch number 1 and you weren't starting with a full sheet of 6x6, you could totally do that because the dimensions for each of those pieces is already included here. So that helps you if you are going to play along with the challenge where you start with 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern papers. You can start collecting, cutting down all of your pattern papers and then organizing all of the pieces so that all of the pieces that you need for sketch number 1, I like to put them in little cello bags. I'll show you that in a moment when we start cutting. And that way you have everything that you need when you go to craft or create this card. So that is one of the major components when you look at the cutting guide. Now, the next thing, which I'll reiterate again when we start to cut, is this little scissor icon. This little scissor icon actually denotes where to make your first cut. And we'll go over that more when we start to actually cut down our papers. But before we do that, let's actually pick our pattern papers. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about choosing your pattern papers. You can do everything from just using small repeat patterns that you know will go nicely together. And if you're just choosing all of your papers as non-directional papers, then you don't even have to really worry about the orientation and the arrows, because you can turn those pieces any which way and it would still work and make sense. You can do as what I've done in a previous instructional video, where I use this grid here to see which papers get combined together, and I use that to just make sure that those papers are going to look good together. Now, here's my tip for you. I have found that a lot of times the papers like F and E get used in fewer sketches. So that's not always the case, but sometimes that can be the case. And so sometimes it's a little bit easier to start from F and then work backwards to A. So for example, F is used on sketches 3, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then if you look at sketches or papers C and D, look at how many X's are in that column. Those are being used in a lot of different sketches. But the real benefit of having this table is to see how many other papers is each of these papers will they get combined with. So for example, if we look at the first column, paper A. Paper A is used in sketches 1 through 4 and sketch number 9. And if we look at sketch 1, it's being combined with paper B. And that's for the same for sketch number 2. So if you look at sketch number 1 and 2, it's only A and B that are used together. And if you look at sketch number 3, A and F are used together. A and F. So what you can do as you are picking your pattern papers is pick one, start with one of the letters, let's say A, see what other papers it gets combined with, and then pick a coordinating paper. So for example, A is used a lot with B, it's used a little bit with C, a little bit with D, and it's used a little bit with F. So I might be inclined to really make sure that A and B look good together, especially since for a few of them, it's just those two. And you can always refer to the sketch as well. So you can see how prominently A and B are featured together in those first two sketches. And in sketch number 4, paper A, There's a lot of it, and but it's mixed in with 3 other pattern papers. So it can be nice to sort of be guided by that. But that process can take quite a while. If you looked at, if you checked out my instructional video for KCC 21, the set where I used Not Too Shabby papers, I used that matrix, that grid, and it took me a while to pick my pattern papers. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of approaching it that way, I am going to not go completely random, but I'm going to be guided more by how the papers get cut up. And let's see if at the end of the day we end up with a set of papers, a set of cards that I'm really happy with, because I can be a little bit picky about these things. All right, so if I look at Adventures in Wonderland, this is actually got some gorgeous papers, very bold florals. I love the black. And this is such a well-designed paper pack because if you flip to the back, everything is just a really easy to use pattern, like a small repeat polka dot, stripes. These patterns here I love. I feel like they can almost replace solid color cardstock because they are so subtle and monochromatic. So I love all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these sketches and I'm going to look at directionality. So for example, we identified that this one, it can be a directional paper because all of the arrows are pointed up. So if I have directional papers here, let's just make ourselves a little bit of a stack. If there are any that are directional, I kind of want to make sure that I'm considering that. Oh wait, this is directional also. And then these are cut aparts, which I want to save, and sentiments. I want to save and not cut into these. Much as I love the stripes on the back, I'm going to save these just in case I want to use them for focal images. I know that I picked out some things that I can use for focal images, but I feel like I want to save these just in case. So I'm going to set these aside for now. And we're going to use these here. So these are the ones where I feel like, at least on this side, they are pretty, that's directional. These are pretty non-directional. Now on the back side, I know I'm going to be really safe because these patterns on the back for all of them are non-directional really. So with this first one, now if I use something like this, you can kind of see these narrow columns here. It's going to be like a little strip like this, and you're not going to actually be able to read any of that. This would be better if I turned my paper. That way, these long stretches, there's a better chance that you're going to actually, capture some text that is legible. So keep that in mind too. So those are sort of the things that I'm thinking of as I'm picking my papers. But I am going to actually maybe use for paper A something like that. And for paper B, let's pick something that goes well with that, but is maybe something that is an easy repeat pattern. So I'm going to flip all of my papers essentially to the back. And I'm going to pick a pattern that coordinates with this one, or really I'm going to be guided by color. And I like some of the orange there. I might use this one. I think I like this one better, so I'm always a fan of blue. But I think it makes the hummingbirds pop a little bit better. So I think that's going to be my A, and that's going to be my B. To keep myself organized, I'm going to use these little Post-its. And I just, I use these, I save them between challenges. So we're going to go with A here and B. Okay, so I've picked those two. Next, let's look at C. Now, one of the nice things with C and D, I do see some larger areas there. And actually, I'm going to flip to kind of the A side of my papers here. And I do like the fact that with some larger pieces, maybe you can really appreciate the birds better. Hopefully they'll land in a spot where you can really see them. So if you hold this up next to there, you can maybe sort of tell that this bird might land really nicely in this area here. And again, looking at the arrows, these are pretty much all pointed upwards except for this one, which is right where that bird is going to be. That's pointed up would be like that. But because it's just that one piece, maybe for whatever sketch 4 is, I'll use the back of this. So I might be inclined to actually use this for paper D, because I think that's got a nice, it's a nice size print. Because there's some larger pieces here. I think the larger florals would be okay. Now this is a very similar sketch, but it's got a lot of these little pieces here. And so I'm almost thinking I might want a smaller repeat pattern. It does still have these 2 larger sections, but I feel like maybe a smaller pattern might be nicer. So, I want to see if I can use this print on this side. So let's look for something else. Maybe we'll go with a polka dot. And that light blue is going to go with this. It'll go nicely with that. I don't know yet if those are going to be combined with each other, but let's roll with it for now. This is just going to be my quote first pass at picking papers, and we'll do a little sanity check later. But you can see how much more quickly this process is going for me as compared to how I've done this in last quarter. Okay, so now these papers, I really like how large that is, and I know I've got some patterns here that would really benefit from that. So like this one here, it's only an inch off the bottom, so I think a lot of this is going to make it into this piece right here. So I'm kind of loving that for this area here. And it's 3 1/4, so it's over half this sheet. So I do think I can successfully get this entire image in this piece here. And if I was a little bit more worried about it, maybe I'll use this print here, because this piece is even larger. It's 4 by 5 1/4. So 4 inches takes me to roughly there. 5 1/4 just leaves 3/4 of an inch at the bottom. So I think this is going to be my paper E. I'm loving the fact that I can use that. Then I've got another one here that I thought was kind of, where's the one? Oh, did I already use it? Is it this one? No. Oh, this one would have been great. I love this also, but this doesn't really get, if I use this for paper F, it doesn't land here. I really like this. Wow, I like both sides of this. Okay, we're gonna stick to our original plan. Okay, so now let's choose a paper F, and which one shall we go with? This might be a good time to use this print because it's such a large piece. There's definitely a lot of this text. You know, I don't know how it's going to be used, what covers it, if there's going to be other stuff on top of it that blocks you from reading, but at least this cut here is going to be large enough to where a lot of this is going to be legible. Now these smaller pieces, you're really not going to be able to read much of anything there, but at least this big piece here is going to have a good chunk of the text. Now, if I'm looking at the arrows, this piece and the piece used on sketches 14 and 15, they actually face orthogonal to everything else. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge because, you know, it's gonna be not gonna be legible with something like this, but there's other things that we can do to face that challenge later. That can be a future Lynn problem. So I think this is a good option for paper F. But the other option I was considering is also this one, because I kind of feel like looking at this, you would get like a good portion of this design here, which I think is beautiful. My only hesitation with picking this one though is because I did pick the other color variation earlier, so I sort of feel like maybe I don't want to feature two of the same design in the same set. So instead, let me choose a different pattern. So if this is our paper, oh, actually, I think I'm done. F would have been my last one. Okay, so that would have been my last one. All right, I've got my 6 pattern papers chosen. I have 4 left to choose from if I want to maybe swap things out. But here's my next thought process. So all I've done now, I just relatively quickly looked at each of the 6 cutting guides, and I was guided by directionality and probably more importantly by the size and how the paper gets cut in order to choose my 6 sheets of pattern paper. Now, what I want to do as a little bit of a sanity check is I want to look at how these patterns are going to get combined with one another on each of the 15 sketches. So here's what I mean. Sketch number 1 uses paper A and B. So I'm just going to pull out B and I'm going to pull out A, and they look great together. This is more of a solid, it's dark, this is lighter. I like that sort of contrast. All of these papers are going to coordinate really nicely, but some might look a little bit better combined together than others. And I think I like to look for some contrast. So this is a nice dark print, this is a lighter print, and this is asymmetrical and has graphics. This is more of a all over pattern. So 1 and 2 I think are great. Sketch number 3 combines paper A and F. So if we look at A and F, this is how they are going to get combined together on that sketch. And I think that's going to be nice. There's pinks here that coordinate. I might, the colors are, I think, about the same value, so I might choose something a little bit darker to, as my mats and layers here. So when you're looking at a sketch, anything that's white, gray, or black, that can be whatever you like. Typically, I like to use solid color cardstock, perhaps additional pattern papers. I like to sort of make a game time decision when I'm putting the sketch together, what else I want to pull in for that. But because these are roughly the same value, I think they kind of look good in this sketch together, but I might be tempted to pick something dark to frame it. But so far sketch 3 I think is good with the papers that we've chosen. Sketch number 4 features paper A again, paper B, paper C, which is this, and paper D. So I think this actually turned out pretty good, because we've got this asymmetric pattern. We have something dark, we have something light, and we have something very high contrast. And there's 2 things that are sort of like an all over print. So in combination, each of these, because they are different, provide some contrast to one another, have a good variation. Like this is an all over repeat print. This is almost like a solid, but very monochromatic, so still very subtle. This is a very bold print, especially with the black, and this is like a fun, like asymmetric print. I think each of them is going to sing when combined, because that's a lot of pattern paper to, it's a lot of different prints to combine on a single card, but it's going to look really great because these are going to stand out individually, and all of the colors I think work really nicely together. So that worked out way better than I could have expected. Next is this one, which features C and D. So let's look at D, and C is this one. Okay, these are going to be great. A good light versus dark, small print versus a large print. We've got good highlights of the same blue in the birds there. So I think these two are going to be great together. They are featured again together in the next sketch, so we're good there. And they're featured again on sketch number 7. So that is a check. And they're featured again on 8 with the addition of paper E. This one is our paper E. Now, I don't know exactly where that strip is taken, but I do feel like this is, in terms of value, like this has a lot of dark, and if this strip right here ends up like maybe in this area, I think that would work really great for this. If worse comes to worse, I can always flip to the back, which would work even better. It's a nice mid-tone, and it picks up on the pinks there. I don't know where this is cut. This strip is cut from out of paper E, but I think I have a good plan where if it doesn't look good from this side, that I'm just gonna flip to the back, because I think this combination is really nice. So I think that works really well. And then moving on to sketch number 9, that features A, B, and C. So these 3 are going to look really nice together. I'm not sure where these strips are taken from, so it'll just really depend on what's visible, but I think the colors look nice, and that shouldn't be a problem. I've got some good options if I flip to the back as well, so I think we're good with sketch number 9. And this is just like a little bit of a sanity check, just to make sure I'm gonna like my papers once they end up on their cards. Now, sketch number 10 features paper E, which is, I think, this one. Okay, so here's paper E. There is quite a lot on top of this, so I can already tell, just depending on where that ends up. These pieces are white and gray, so they can be whatever you want. And I can already tell I'll probably deviate a little bit from the sketch, because I love this image here, and I think that's going to land really nicely, but I don't want to cover that up. But it is more or less by itself with a little bit of paper D as this circle. So what's paper D? Let's take a look. Paper D is this one. It's just going to have a little spot of a floral. It's a rather small circle, so I don't know how much of the floral will be visible, but if it's this side, I think that's going to offer a really nice contrast with paper E here. But if needed, I can flip to the back, and I think that's going to coordinate beautifully. It's got some nice contrast with this being so light, and this being a little bit mid, and tending a little bit towards the darker side. So I think that'll work out fine. This one here is like a parquet pattern that features B, just this, C, D, and E. B, here's E, D, and C. All right, so I feel like these mostly go pretty well together. This one I feel is in value a little bit close here. So let's flip. This is E. It's used twice. I'm inclined to just use the back of that when we get to that point. I know it's pretty much, I think the same pattern as this. So we'll see if I end up doing that, because B and E are like right next to each other in this pattern. It would have been nicer, I think, if they were alternating, like, and orthogonal to one another, but we'll see how it looks. I'm not sure where these strips are coming from on paper E, so it could work out okay, but knowing that they're going to be right next to each other, I feel like this is a better contrast, even if it's pretty much, you know, a very similar or the same pattern. But I think I have a game plan there, so I'm going to keep that as my paper E. Now, as I'm going through this, if I find a combination that I really feel like I don't like, you know, I might be inclined to swap it out for something else. But so far, either I can use the front side that I've chosen or just flip to the back. And that's the beauty of using double-sided pattern papers. I think that flexibility is really helpful. So paper E is that strip across there, and it gets combined with B, C, and F. So here's C, here's B again, and this one is F. So again, these two being like very close in value, I might flip one. Ooh, I might flip this to the back. I don't know. That's paper B. I don't know where this little banner flag is going to be, but these three as little banner flags at the bottom, I feel like would be really a nice combination. So, loving that also. Sketch 13 features paper F, that's that big piece, and it's got paper B, which is this. Oh no, B is this one. Layered on top as a banner. I think that's gonna look great. Yeah, that's gonna be great. I might try to find something that's a mid-tone between the two, but I think that's gonna look really good. This one is mostly paper F. There's lots of gray on here, and there's just a smidge of paper E. This one's paper E. I think this dark teal is gonna look great against that pink. I probably wouldn't need to go to the backside of this, but who knows? Maybe. I think it looks fine. It coordinates fine, but I think the contrast here is gonna be really nice, and they'll work out great. And then sketch number 15 is just paper F by itself. And I'm inclined to for this sketch, because it's cut like this and it's a tall skinny, I might actually turn this so that it's legible, or we'll see if that ends up being the case, but let's see how that piece gets cut, and then we'll figure it out from there. If worst case is that I can flip this to the back, because if it's too narrow of a column and it's cut like this, you're not really going to be able to read anything. And this whole strip, a lot of it gets seen. It would be nice if it's legible. So if it works out and it's legible, to just turn the sketch, then I'll do that. But if not, I might just use the polka dots on the back. So I think I have a game plan. So I've got my papers. I'm going to quickly organize them. I think they're all going to work really well together. That's the beauty of using a double-sided paper pack, and one that is so well designed. So you can kind of see, ultimately, I've picked 4 sheets that are kind of, you know, the A side, the side that actually has the strong theming of the Wonderland florals. And then I've picked 2 that are sort of the B side, or the more subtle prints that are not themed. But I've got lots of options because these are double-sided. So I can always flip to the back if I need to, you know, find something that looks or fits a little bit nicer. So that is one way to choose your 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern papers. So what I'm going to do is, this is already a little bit of a long video, so I'm actually going to save the cutting to a separate video. So we'll cut these 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern papers in a separate video. That video will go out in the next day or 2, so you won't have to wait too long before you see that. Thanks for checking out my video today. As always, links to everything will be in the description box below. I'll link to the Adventures in Wonderland papers and some of the other products that I'm planning on using so that you can check those out for yourself if you would like. I'm also going to put a link to Kendra's card challenge so you know where to pick up this free PDF cutting guide. Remember, it's only free through April 1st, starting April 1st through June 30th of 2026. If you're watching this on outside of that date range, then you do still have a way to get access to this. The challenges get archived at the end of the quarter and are only available to paying patron members. So if you want to have access to the previous card sketch challenges, then all you have to do is sign up as a paid patron member. There are lots of perks and benefits to being a paid patron. Not only are you helping to support Kendra so that she can put out more of these challenges and extra bonuses and extra perks for being a member, like the live streams that Kendra is starting to do, and all of these things that help support and make playing along with the challenge more fun, easier, such as the additional PDFs and SVG files that she has available are also things that you can pick up in the patrons shop. And if you have an electronic cutting machine like the Brother Skin & Cut or a Cricut, you can get the SVG, and that's just going to make cutting your papers even easier because you just load it up and set it on its way to do its job. So that's really fabulous. And all of these extra perks are things that Kendra takes time to put together and do. So your support really helps her keep this challenge going and keep it free for everybody. So check that out. At the various different tiers of membership, you'll have different amounts of access, as few as 1 month all the way up to a year's worth of past challenges. So do check that out, and links to that will be in the description box below. If you do sign up as a patron, there's a 10% coupon code that I'll leave in my description box as well. That way you can get a little bit of a discount off of your first month as a paid patron member. Thank you again, and next video will be how to cut the 6 sheets of pattern papers and get myself organized to start making my very first set of KCC 22 cards. Until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.